saying, I met you when I was in the 6th grade, and they're the next generation down. They introduced me to their grandchildren. So I've had a long history with UW and with civil engineering. And my father graduated from the University of Washington in civil engineering in 1917, and probably gave me my first interest in civil engineering. He ended his career serving for 12 years as the King County engineer in the post-World War II era. So he had a lot of work to do to really redo the whole road system in King County, which had not been worked on since the Depression, and not much was done during World War II. And the huge number of people immigrating into this area needed roads, and the needs were a whole lot higher than the amount of money available. So he had his problem. Moore Hall was finished when I was a senior at the university, and it's pretty tired right now. And my first job was as a structural engineer on the Alaskan Way Viaduct, which they now want to tear down. It just proves if you live long enough, they'll want to tear down your creations and start all over again. Because our throwaway society really does seem to prevail. I think the Romans were a whole lot better in building long-standing buildings than we have been in the centuries since. But after two stints in the Navy during World War II, and then it wasn't that I liked it so well, but they liked me well enough to call me back during the Korean War, I returned, and at that point, I was pretty interested in politics. I was pretty turned off by what was going on at the time, by the seemingly endless war in Korea, the first one that we just hadn't simply gone out and won. And we've been in a whole series of wars we haven't won ever since. And so I came back and ran for the legislature and touted my engineering background. And when I got to Olympia, found that I was the only engineer out of 99 in the House of Representatives. Engineers just simply, in this country at least, have not run for political office very often. Now, when I've traveled, when I was on the Foreign Relations Committee in the Senate, and traveled a good deal, I found leaders of many other countries who are engineers. It's fairly common in Central America and South America and parts of Europe, where they're either, in many cases, were either prime ministers or senior counselors or senior ministers in their government. But not here. But by touting my engineering background and by being the only engineer, it really opened doors. The very first session I was in Olympia was the session where they debated and finally selected the route for the Evergreen Point Bridge. Well, the Evergreen Point Bridge comes ashore on the Seattle side, right in the middle of what was my legislative district. Not many constituents thought it was a good idea. And so I led the fight to instead build the second Lake Bridge, parallel to the first one, with the idea that you could get a whole lot more capacity out of it by using reversible lanes, as they have done, of course, in the years since with the third bridge. We also proved that you could get from what's now downtown Bellevue to downtown Seattle faster. It was a shorter route by going on the route of the I-90 bridge and then a bridge across the northeast corner of Mercer Island. I fought hard for all of that, and we lost. We lost badly. The bridge is where it is, but I found out that political forces sometimes are as important, maybe more important on occasion, than engineering decisions. As I said, we showed very clearly that from the center of where you want to go, destinations on the Seattle side and on the Bellevue side, that route was shorter, The bridge would have been built more cheaply and would have had substantially more capacity. But the forces in favor of building an Evergreen Point Bridge were most of the people who were developers on the east side, developing Bellevue, which then was a small village really, and the property that they had interest in were served a whole lot better by the Evergreen Point Bridge. It also helped their cause that the governor at that time was in favor of the Evergreen Point Bridge. In fact, he was such a contributor in terms of his power that the bridge today is named after him, the Albert D. Rossellini Bridge. And so the fight was worth it. The fight was worth it. I thought it was a political decision instead of an engineering decision, but nonetheless, because as a freshman I had the opportunity to speak out on something that nobody else had very much knowledge about, gave me the chance to play a lot bigger role than most freshmen in the legislature ever had a chance to play. And I joined the Highway Committee, which very few legislators from Seattle ever joined. They said, who wants to be in the Highway Committee? That they build roads over in eastern Washington. Well, that was just the problem. They built roads in eastern Washington because the legislature at that time was long before the one person, one vote. The legislature was dominated by rural interests, and farmers ran the place. Their interest in roads was farm-to-market roads, building the network in rural Washington, and as long as there wasn't anybody on the Highway Committee representing the cities, they got away with it. And that's why it, again, was really worthwhile for me to join the Highway Committee, to get in there and at least raise a little ruckus about how much money was being raised in King County and how little was being spent in King County. And actually, we shamed them enough so that we did get some changes. We finally got all of the legislators from King County together and joined with urban legislators from other areas and found that we could at least begin to make some progress. Ultimately, when all those fights were over, or when they were not dominating the scene, a whole lot of other bills come before legislatures and Congress, and you find that there is no way you can keep up on all the bills that come in front of you. I was faced with voting on farm bills. I didn't know a darn thing about cows